All right, let's build an app from scratch using Lovable and a couple other AI tools and see how far we can get in the next 30 minutes. All right, so first things first, usually before diving into anything, I want to create some kind of tech spec. I've been using Gemini 2.5 quite a bit because it just seems to be right now one of the best models. And you can use it on the Gemini site, but it's pretty limited into how many prompts you can use. But if you just go to aistudio.google.com, which is like their API platform tool, you can just select Gemini 2.5, and I haven't been sort of limited on the amount of prompts I can do. So I've just been using that. All right. So one of the first things you want to do when creating a tech spec is just identify the tech stack. So this is just Lovable's tech stack, which is React, Type, and TypeScript, and then Supabase for Backend as a service, which we'll go into in a sec. But this is just a super easy way to get started. It tends to work pretty well. And since we're working in Lovable, we want to be kind of using the tech stack that it's built for. So the idea that I was kind of thinking about is in landscaping and construction, there's a lot of time that's spent in essentially pricing out projects and creating proposals. So you have to talk to a client, then you have to look at all your cost codes and your pricing, and you have to build out, you basically have to manually create this big kind of estimate. And that's like the starting place for the project. If you get your estimate wrong, you could be leaving money on the table. And it's just generally a very slow and time-consuming process, especially for smaller or medium-sized local builders or landscapers. So let's try and create a tool that will help automate this or make this easier, and provide maybe some types of functionality that would only really be available to larger companies that kind of have like built-out Procore type setup. All right, so create a detailed tech spec for, let's say, a contracting estimating tool. We want the ability to upload cost codes, and so with item prices, we're going to want a title, unit price. Let's see what else. We want the ability to upload cost codes and item prices. Once uploaded, these line items should be configurable using the new responses API standard. And you can plug and play or use different models here. Just OpenAI is kind of one of the easy ones to set up. So let's go with that, where users can then chat with LLM to get estimates based on the pricing and cost codes they have set. And then let's also add in some more functionality here. Let's see. Users should be able to then edit the estimates in a tabular format to adjust the AI response. All right. This is a pretty detailed type of app that we want to build. It's a pretty broad kind of scope, but let's just embrace the vibes while this loads. Gemini is pretty awesome. In a lot of cases, it will get things right on the first try that other models struggle with. Particularly the 1 million token context window is pretty awesome. So it's writing this all out. It creates a pretty detailed tech spec. I told it to use responses, but it's using the chat completions API, which is not the right one, but I'm assuming this has to do with a knowledge cutoff situation. I'm not going to get super caught up in this. We're trying to just move quickly. So we'll just go with what it gives us. But if I was trying to do this right, I'd probably adjust some of these things. Okay, just copy paste. We're really just going to embrace the unknown here. All right, straight up copy paste. Let's see what this gets us. All right, Lovable is thinking. A quick thought on AI tools. Personally, if you're getting started, Lovable is a bit more kind of beginner friendly because it has that like default tech stack. So I just find that it tends to kind of have some guardrails that'll make things easier. Also, the Supabase integration to manage the backend Honestly, probably one of the biggest challenges with vibe coding and AI coding tools is how do you set up the backend, and the vibe coding tools can do it, but I just find that like usually where a lot of the headaches emerge is, trying to make changes to the front end, but it doesn't align with the data that the backend is expecting. And you can end up just going down a rabbit hole of creating more and more bugs and a system that just like work well together. And so I found that Lovable, with that Supabase integration, it just tends to kind of force a certain amount of alignment, which I haven't seen in other tools. So let's see. All right, it's writing. Okay, so it's going to implement user auth. I don't know if we need user auth for this to start. This is just kind of build it and see how far we can get. Making some design elements, sure, whatever. But yeah, can't kind of how important that initial tech spec is. It's really going to be the sort of guiding framework for your whole project. And you can do is also just copy paste it back in as you're building things to kind of help course correct. Reintroducing that context every 10 to 20 messages is a huge lifesaver. All right, first time I've gotten that. I think it's just doing a lot of work. Yep, still plugging along. This is cool for people who don't know how to code or are learning how to code. You can just like watch as it's building things out by clicking on this box here, and you can get a sense of what it's doing, and it'll usually have notes to kind of describe what it's doing. Doing a lot of stuff. Still going. This is probably the longest it's ever taken to start a project. Whoa. I did enter the Lovable hackathon competition they had over the weekend. I did not win. Did get into the top 100 though, which was cool. I don't know how cool it is to get into the top 100. But that was a fun weekend project. And that was a totally different kind of idea, but I won't get into it right now. Okay. All right. So it finished that. And this is the dev mode that I was talking about. So if you're new to coding, you can just switch on this dev mode and you can just get a sense of like how these projects are structured. Let's see. All right. AI powered estimating for contractors. Great. I created this landing page. Why choose Estimate AI? That's interesting that it set up auth, but we don't have, let's see if I can, okay. So it set up an auth page, but it's not like enforcing you to log in or whatever. Okay. Let's set up a bunch of boilerplate stuff, manage pricing data, view estimates. Let's see how much of this is set up. So I do have a CSV here that we can try to use. So I'm just trying to find the right file for you guys. One second. Oh boy. Let's export this as a CSV. All right. Let's do that. All right. Upload CSV. Okay. It did actually set up the file upload. Now, did that work is the question. Oh, wow. Okay. Looks like it loaded some things, but not all. When in doubt, you can just chat. Why didn't the CSV upload update the price items? Do a quick little refresh here. It seems to be stuck. Okay. The dashboard. Well, let's just try it again. See what happens. Okay. Imported 5 items. Why did it only import 5 items when there are many more? Try that. Okay, that makes sense. In a lot of cases, off the initial prompt, Lovable tends to use a lot of mock data. That's probably something that you could specify in the initial prompt to not do, but that is something you usually have to work around. And it's worth calling out that you haven't set up a backend yet. So none of this is going to be persistent. It's all going to be locally managed. But once we get the basic functionality going, it's not hard to set up the backend. Cool. It's kind of added some basic dashboard components. Probably, yeah, got some mock data in here. Okay, that's a dead link. Start new estimate. This is all kind of mock data. We haven't set up the AI chat yet. All right, so when we do that, I might cheat a little bit here. And I've already set up some stuff in the playground. Dang it. It looks like we actually don't have that anymore. Let's see if we can go to dashboard. Okay, responses. Here we go. Okay. So we introduced a bug there. This happens pretty often, and you can usually just tell it to fix it. for the most part, it usually is pretty good at resolving the issues. Going back here, this is the responses API, tools. Now let's see if we can save prompt. Just do estimating tool. Okay, neat. So I actually have this prompt stored. Okay, all right, so we're gonna have to move a little bit faster here. Sign into Supabase, sign in. Oh, nope, there we go. All right, let's actually delete this one because I'm not really using it. All right, delete. Okay, I don't want to pay for more databases, so let's delete that. All right, while it's going, let's create a new project. Name estimation. I will change that. All right, it seems to still not be wanting to upload. All right, let's add some debugging. Let's see if we can get it. Your CSV file doesn't contain any valid price items. Please check the format. It's asking, it's not detecting price items. Can we add a parsing step to the upload flow to help parse data from the CSV columns? So probably what's happening is, trying to upload this thing, but it's not in the format that the code is expecting, which makes sense because we haven't configured or kind of set a specific format. But we want to make this super easy to use. So we want to add a way we want it to be pretty flexible where regardless of the format that you have, it should be able to parse it. So we're trying to add a manual parsing step here. Okay. It added some intelligent parsing. We now have 67 items. That sounds about right. Great. Oh yeah, here we go. Heck yeah. We have our information in here, and it did a pretty good job of parsing it. We even have the cost codes. This is honestly better than I thought it would do. In the file that I uploaded, these question marks were in there, so that's kind of expected. All right, okay. Got that going. So we've got the price data up and it's losing it. I go back to the pricing page, the data is gone. This is probably because we don't have the backend set up, but at least for the purposes of this video, I just want to see how far we can get without setting up the backend. I will do it if I have to, but it does take a while. But I'll have to set up the backend anyways. So, okay. JS. I think we're going to want to use Node.js. This is where my technical ability is lacking. I'm also just learning as I go, figuring things out. Okay, just try that again. Upload 67 new items. Sweet. Okay, that's working. We got the upload working. And this is really helpful because, again, a lot of this stuff is done manually with like an Excel sheet, creating these estimates. It's a pain in the ass. But if you can easily upload all your information, and we can start to use that to generate the estimates, it's going to be super helpful. Okay, see if it persisted. Okay, now let's just go for it and try to one-shot this OpenAI integration. It's going to be interesting. Okay, just set up we're going to connect that. This is the new project I just made, and that's how you connect it back to project. Okay. Let's set up the OpenAI edge function to help us create estimates. All right, so I copy pasted the code that I got from the OpenAI platform. I'm not quite sure which of these will work best with Lovable, but let's just give Node.js a try. All right, it's asking for the API key. So I'm going to create an API key and I will not show this. So default project. And so Lovable has this nice functionality where you can just paste the API key into the chat and it'll set it up for you. You don't have to manually configure this stuff, which can be super time consuming. Hopefully it's storing that API key in the environment variables. It doesn't always do that by default. We're not going to fully launch this yet. So these are checks we can do later to make sure that we're building things that are secure and we're not publicly exposing our API keys. So it's going to create that edge function. And that's where this direct integration is just so nice because that seamless connection, that is for sure the hardest part. But let's see how far we get. My bet is that OpenAI is going to get or Lovable is going to get confused because we're trying to use the responses API. Oh, look, it is using environment variables. There you go. Okay. Dashboard, start new estimate. Let's try that again. And then let's check the, well, actually, let's not do that yet. Paver installation, price per unit. Here we go. I think this is actually using the right data. Now it doesn't look pretty. Let's update the chat window to properly format the response. But it does look like this is using the data that we provided, which is pretty cool. It does look like the cost code is not coming across correctly, but it's solvable. Let's just refresh this. Okay, that's edge functions working, and then we can go back here. We can check our logs. Oh, that's interesting. Output, okay. So probably cleared the local storage, so we're gonna have to do, oh, didn't, okay. So let's check this, let's start a new estimate, and let's just do the same thing. Quite do the formatting the way I wanted. So let's just throw a screenshot in here, and oh, here we go. These are the right cost codes coming through, so that's good. So overall, I mean, I think we're gonna wrap up here pretty soon. Obviously, not a fully fledged production application, still a lot that we would have to do to get it there. But we're getting pretty far pretty quickly, and you can do quite a lot just by bouncing back and forth between these different tools to troubleshoot if something isn't working. All right, moment of truth. Let's try it. Drum roll. You know, it's not perfect, it's not pretty, but it's using the information we uploaded. It's hitting the OpenAI API, some simple formatting. Next steps here would just be to take this response, parse it, be able to move it into more tabular format so that from that response, you could be able to edit and sort of tweak things so that response maybe gets you 95% of the way. Then you could manually change and say, you know, I want to do a 20% markup, or we need 50 units, not 40. And then some kind of function to actually generate that final estimate in a sort of professional way for the client. You could add some functionality to send that out. But overall, yeah, we didn't get all the way there in the time, but we got pretty far. And I bet with another hour or two, this could be ready to go. And if you want to see what this looks like, I'll do another video once this is kind of up and running, because it is something that I think people would use, especially kind of smaller teams. This feels like a pretty real pain point. So yeah, that's what I got. And awesome. Looking forward to doing the next one.